This is Tom Doody, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. This is one American looks in the mirror. I've repeated this exercise a number of times, not yet double digits. I will read text by Markus Feldenkirchen. Markus is a media pro associated with Spiegel.com. Spiegel.com is the digital offshoot of Spiegel, of Der Spiegel. Der Spiegel's been around for about a half century, Spiegel.com for about a decade. I do not know Markus's relationship with Spiegel.com, whether he's an employee, a reporter, an editor, a freelance writer. I do not know that. However, I do know on June the 26th of 2015, Markus posted this text. I did this once. Markus commented that he is aware that I've done this at least on one occasion. At the end, I will make it clear when I've stopped the words of Markus and begin my own post commentary. Title: Confronting the Past, America Turns Its Attention to Rampant Racism. The United States excels in dealing with injustices of other countries. They often believe help other countries to cope with their shameful past. Germany will always be grateful to the U.S. for sending American troops across the Atlantic to defeat the Nazis and insisting that Germans be held accountable for the crimes they committed. The Nuremberg trials have given Germans the opportunity to own up to what they had done. They could no longer deny it. The U.S. has been less successful, however, in conducting the same process when addressing the dark spots of its own past. This includes its treatment of Native Americans who were brutally repressed and are even killed in order to clear way for Western expansion. They were betrayed, neglected, and disrespected. Today they live on reservations in some of the saddest living conditions the civilized world has to offer. Americans seem even more forgetful when it comes to the history of blacks who were once snatched from their homes, forced into ship galleys, and treated like animals for centuries. Even after the end of the Civil War and the official abolition of slavery, it took another 100 years before the discriminatory laws were finally officially lifted. To this day, the U.S. has never issued a formal apology or made attempts to redress, let alone compensate. Instead, many patterns of institutionalized racism still exist. When a clean break from the past is not made, it may be difficult for people to part with their old ways of thinking. Indeed, not only do many Americans continue to hold twisted notions of superiority of whites, but these beliefs often go unchallenged. Imagine 150 years have passed since the American Civil War ended, and not only has a national debate begun whether over some symbols of the South are inappropriate. 9 black people had to die in Charleston, executed by a white Nazi, adjoined with the Confederate flag and other symbols of alleged white supremacy. It seems that there was never a thought given to the fact that the South went to war against the North partly in order to defend its right to continue to hold blacks like animals, to put them in chains, to beat them when they were down. How is it that for many politicians, the American citizens, this flag has now only become a little embarrassing? Why are people now only asking whether it's really good to keep the name of streets and public spaces that are greatest generals in the fight for slavery? They may have been brave soldiers, but if they were fighting for a despicable cause, they should not have monuments built in their honor, unless, of course, we believe what they stand for is really not so reprehensible. On the Mall in Washington, and not somewhere in Germany, one can find one of the best, most poignant Holocaust museums in the world. Yet similarly, impressive museums dedicated to the history of slavery, to racist policies throughout America, history to the treatment of Native Americans are missing. Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, is enshrined on the mall in a monument fit for a deity. The fact that Jefferson was also a brutal slave owner is something one only learns at a former estate in Monticello. Perhaps not surprisingly, that fact is not prominently displayed. To date, the American treatment of its own dark past is so ignorantly passive, so intentionally vague, so in denial that it begs to question, do the majority of Americans feel any guilt or acknowledge any wrongdoing toward blacks and Native Americans? Every nation has dark spots in its past, and nowhere are those spots darker than in Germany. However, the greatest of a country is reflected in how it deals with the past, whether it critically examines it. In this respect, the United States is not the great nation it believes itself to be. And fiend. Words of Markus Feldenkirchen. Beginning. Words of Tom Doody. I'll comment on where I am, why, and my purpose. I'm on New York Avenue in the barrio. Local people call this Nueva York, or Avenida Nueva York. I'm at an alley that's between 45 and 46th Street, and I'm exactly at this point because Optimum, my internet provider at home, reports an outdoor signal here, and it is strong, and I trust that this audio will post properly. My purpose is to solve something emotionally, to do something that somehow feels right, justified, good, perhaps righteous. I was struck by this text of Markus. I read it once, read it a couple of times in private. I did this Google Hangout, which is a quasi-public version of the text. And somehow it seemed like a worthy exercise. Wow, maybe I'll get someone else to do it by leading by example. Well, back in the day, before the internet, if I wanted to accomplish this, I would twist the arm, coerce, beg, pay someone close to me, a friend, a family member, to do this. And in my way of thinking in modern times with the internet, I approach this differently. I'll do it. Maybe someone else will copy. Okay, well, maybe if I were Jay-Z, they would. If I were David Bowie or Barack Obama, someone would. But I'm not. So I'm going to keep repeating this exercise until it no longer feels good or worthwhile, or someone copies. Yesterday, in my post comments, I mentioned Sandra Bland. It is clear to me, investigation is not complete. However, a woman in the cell next to Sandra Bland has described circumstances she knows of the last words she exchanged with Sandra Bland. It is unimaginable to this fellow prisoner that Sandra committed suicide. The autopsy, both the medical examiner and the independent autopsy, both indicate the cause of death was self-inflicted. So that basically puts Sandra's story out of the headlines, though the video, the dash cam, is just horrible to watch. So in the past 24 hours, read my Facebook feed, and a Facebook friend named Danny. Now, Danny is, of course, a real person. It's his real name. I knew Danny in a traditional way. through a church association in Michigan. And he's an attorney. He puts a picture of his car with 2 flat tires. No visible damage to the car that could be seen in the picture, though his text indicates it has been scratched in faggot on the door. Now, Danny is gay, and I think married. If he's not married, he's very public about his intimate relationship with a man, very public in a Facebook way. In fact, at that moment, I realized, I got a lot of gay friends on Facebook, and some of them, I mean, they're all out. I know they're gay. However, they're not always out on Facebook. Now, I have one named Bill who is married. His wedding was a Facebook event for him and for me and for some family members. And then Danny, he speaks of being gay. The issues he posts are gay. And come to think of it, all the other gay friends I have on Facebook, maybe in the double digits, aren't so, on the one-to-one traditional basis, there's no question they're gay. They, might kiss a boyfriend in front of me. This would be comfortable for them and for me. I can't imagine thinking they were straight. But this event with Danny tells me that maybe they're afraid of being subjected to the hate that it appears has targeted Danny. Danny's probably a little more visible than other gay men that I know, being an attorney, his client-based business, arguing in court, these activities, professional status, professional appearance, visibility, makes him more visibly gay, I think, than my other gay friends. It may or may not be true. Certainly some of my gay friends. So anyways, this has happened to him. He's been a victim of this vandalism, and it is clearly targeted. The faggot and Danny being gay match up for someone who wanted to make Danny a victim of this message. So I look at the comment line. I just couldn't say nothing. And it's a struggle. What do I say? Well, I posted this video that I had done yesterday. So if nothing else, this one American looks in the mirror is the video to post when there is just nothing else to say. Markus has addressed hate in a way that struck me, in a way that I think is unique. He's been highly critical of the United States, yet he's done it gently. I'll give a very specific answer. Americans seem even more forgetful, Markus writes. Again, his words are viciously critical, yet gentle. And somehow it feels good for me to read this. It's like the alcoholic that finally says, I'm an alcoholic. 12-step program would say that's the beginning of getting alcoholism behind someone, is that they acknowledge they're alcoholic and quit denying it. I'm an alcoholic is a step forward, a declaration. And I think that's part of why this feels good. I live in a racially divided country, and to read Markus's words that are factual. I've been to the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C., and it is fit for a deity, though I never would have described it that way. Markus is on spot on with these words, and it's striking for me to read. And yesterday, the occasion of Danny's Facebook post, tells me it was the right thing to do on that occasion. It was fresh. It wasn't an archived post. It wasn't Martin Luther King's speech. It was something I had done, even though they weren't all my words. It was on the subject of hate, and it was on the subject of race, though not gay. These are very closely related to hate. So Sandra Bland kind of fades from the headlines yesterday, and this Facebook post, though not not news headlines, certainly in my social media headlines. It's too much. I'm tired of it. I am tired of people having reason to do the things that Danny has done. Post that they've been a victim of hate. I am tired of seeing a video of Sandra Bland in collision with a police officer. No doubt some being her lack of cooperation, though undeniably some being targeted at her for being black. I'm tired of it. I want to do something. I feel like I'm doing something. Time will tell if it's effective. This has been Tom Doody, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.